How has Gust's business model evolved since its inception? Well, the interesting thing about Gust, believe it or not, is that it hasn't. It hasn't really evolved and it hasn't pivoted. Gust is a very unusual play, and it's this is one of those things. Don't try this at home, kids, because your mileage is likely to differ. But when Gust was started, the quick background of Gust is that this came out of my personal experience as a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company when I was a mere child, and then I started companies in high school, college, graduate school, throughout my entire career. And eventually I started one of these companies that got very, very big, became a multinational, raised deca millions in venture capital, and then got wiped out during the dot-com crash, which was very disappointing. So at that point, I had a lot of entrepreneurial experience, but I was taken off the entrepreneurial startup table. So all I could do at that point was become an investor. So I became an angel investor. That's when I started angel investing right after the dot-com crash, and began to do a lot of angel investing, eventually founded New York Angels, and got involved in the whole other side of the table. And then I got involved with Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil in Singularity University, of which I'm an associate founder, and I founded the Finance, Entrepreneurship, and Economics track at Singularity U, and that gave me a vision of the future and an understanding of exponential technological change to where things were going. So you put all that together, somebody with decades of experience as an entrepreneur, a decade of experience as an angel investor, substantial futurist experience in the world of the technological singularity looking forward, and it became obvious to me that there was a one-time need and opportunity to create a back-end infrastructure platform for the entire world of entrepreneurial finance, which would eventually lead into the whole world of finance. The only problem was given the technology at the time and given the globalization at the time, this is now several years ago, to put all this together and pull off a rebuild of the entire global infrastructure for business financing and the like was not something that would be trivially done. It would indeed take a long period of time. It would take 15 years. So the original plan for Gust was a 15-year business plan. And as most entrepreneurs know, no entrepreneur in their right mind, A, has the sitzfleisch, as we would say in Yiddish, has the ability to patience to sit for 15 years to see their plan become a reality or work at it for 15 years thanklessly. And, of course, no investor, including me, would ever fund a 15-year business plan. So if no entrepreneur would do it, nobody would fund it, what could you do? Well, if you happen to have a crazy person who can combine the entrepreneur and the investor in the same package, which was me, you could actually pull it off if you're really committed in it. So Gust was a 15-year play, and we've now just finished year 12 out of 15. We really haven't pivoted on the original plan, and we're actually on target. So the recent launch of Gust Launch, our SaaS platform, building on top of the underlying Gust platform, is the first of the next steps as to where Gust is going. So now, if you haven't been following at home with what Gust is doing, you can, if you're an entrepreneur, come on to Gust, press one button, and instantly spin up an entire company. Gust Launch creates and operates and manages an entire company for you. It is a company as a service. Everything from incorporation to legal to equity to accounting and bookkeeping and Amazon Web Services and everything. It takes all of the company out of being a company and lets you focus on the entrepreneurial aspect of what you're doing. And so that's the first piece of the next generation of where Gust is going, but it's always been envisioned from the beginning, because that ultimately, as you can see you could imagine where that would go, it'll tie into investors and marketplaces and so on and so forth. So in that sense, we've tweaked the edges, but the basic business model hasn't changed since we started.